Hello all, today we are producers, we're shippers, we are looking at the game container. We'll be developing our infrastructure, producing containers, pricing them, buying containers, shipping them to the island as we attempt to get the right balance of containers for maximum money. Now this one's medium complexity, it plays 3 to 5 and it takes about 60 to 90 minutes, and we have the designers and publisher there as well. Now this version is the older one, and if you like what you see, the 10th anniversary jumbo edition is a must. Let's take a closer look then. Okay, we have a free player setup here. What are we trying to do? So you've got your player board, you've got your factories, you're hoping to produce these containers and price them in your factory store here to entice your opponents to buy them. They will then place them in their harbour store and they will price them to try and entice ships to come into their harbour to try and purchase them and load them up, and then take these to the international island where an auction will happen amongst the other players, in this case the reds and the greens. They will play some money cards, a secret bid reveal, and then the highest bid, this player will have a choice. Are they going to accept the highest bid of 2 in this case? And if they do, it will be matched by the government for a value of 4, and the player who made the bid will take this container, pop it in their area, and that is crucial for end game scoring. Or if the player decides, you know what, I'm refusing your bid, the player gets their money back and they themselves, the yellows in this case, will pay the matching bid to the bank and they will keep that container. Now why do you want these containers? Well, everyone has a secret kind of objective card here, and this will determine the price of those containers at the end of the game. So these guys are after oranges, valued at $10 each, and you can see descending the values there. Now at the end of the game, you are going to get the value of the money you've sort of made profits throughout the game, add it on to the value of these containers, and add on the value of containers in your ship as well, or any remaining in your harbour, and the most money is the winner. But there's a catch. When you come to look at your containers, you will firstly remove the container colour of the most in your section. So in this case, they're going to lose all 3 of these black containers. These guys are going to lose all 3 of those. So every player loses the majority in their section only. You will then add up all the values here. Now, before you've removed those, you'll actually determine if you had 1 of each. And you can see if you did have 1 of each colour, you're going to get this figure to the right. Is the second good from the top has a 5 and a 10 here. So if you have 1 of each, you're getting 10 for the tan colour. If you didn't acquire 1 of each, you're only getting 5 there. So bear that in mind. Then there's a few rules over ties and which one go out as well. So that is kind of the objective, is to get these containers here. Now, what actions can you do then? So you could buy a factory. At the bottom, you can see the values. You got 6 to place the next one. You can pick any colour you want. There's the 5 colours. You got white, black, brown, tan, and orange, all very similar. So maybe you want to get something your competitors haven't got. You can't have the same, so you can't go too black. And what can you do next? You could buy a warehouse. Why do you want a warehouse? Well, you can have more capacity. So factories give you more production capabilities and capacity to put containers in here. So when we produce, well, let's go for these guys. At the moment, when they produce, they've reached their capacity. It's 2 per factory, and they've already got 4 containers, so they can't add anything else there. So maybe they want to try and get another factory, produces more, and lets them now hold 6 containers there. Now, these prices, you can sway them when you do the particular action, so you might want to put them all on the 1. There's no limit to how many can go on that particular spot. It's just enticing other players to buy them. If you develop your infrastructure for warehouses, these let you put more containers in your harbour store at the various prices, and again you can stack as many as you want on a spot, but it's 1 container per warehouse, so a maximum of 2 here. So that is developing your infrastructure by buying a factory or a warehouse. The next thing you could do is buy merchandise from somebody else's factory stores, which are these. So let's say the yellows are up. They're going to buy some merchandise from these guys as one of their actions, because you've only got 2 actions, I should say. So one of these actions is you could buy as many as you want from here, but remember your capacity limit, which is 2 in this case. So they bought these 2. They had them somewhere in their harbour store, which they do have capacity to place because they've got 2 warehouses. Maybe they go both on the freeze and they pay the money to that player. Now you can also reorganize these when you do this particular action. The next thing you can do, and only once on your turn, is produce. So say these guys want to produce, they're going to take an orange container and a tan and they're going to place them in here at the values. Now you have to produce everything that you have as a factory unless you're hitting your capacity or there's no more containers. And every time you do produce, you give $1 to the player to your right, going clockwise. Okay, that's producing once only, remember that. Next thing you may do is move the ship. So currently this is in the open sea, these 2 on the island, so maybe one movement, it's in the sea. Maybe you could have moved it, that was there, they can move it into one of these harbours. Now you can't go into your own harbour, you're having to go to your opponent's. So once you're in there, you can then purchase these as part of the same action, as many as you want, as long as you've got the money, and you can fit them up to 5 on your ship. So they pay the money, and that was their 2 actions done. You may, on a future turn, decide to move out to the sea as one action and move on to the island. Now, every time you move on to the island, that will end your turn. So remember, 2 actions. If you do that as your first action, you are not getting a second action. So what happens here then? When a ship lands on here, it's reds, which means the yellows and the greens are going to be doing an auction to try and win these 2 white containers. Now, maybe they go, right, whites, greens go 3 and the yellows go 2. So the highest bid is 3. The yellows get their money back. Now, do the reds want to keep those containers or do they want to take the money? So they take the money. They're going to take these $3 and the bank is going to match it as well. They keep this money in their personal supplier, but these 2 containers have been bought by the relevant player. Was it yellows? So they've got more containers there. So that is the auction. Now, there's another aspect to the game, loans. So you can see this player here has 1 loan already. And before you do your 2 actions, you've got a pre-action. You're having to pay $1 for each loan you have, and you can have up to 2 loans. But if you don't pay these back by the end of the game, not only have you paid all that interest from round to round, but you're paying $11 back from your tally at the end. Now, once 2 of these piles have been exhausted, so all the blacks are gone, all the tan have gone, that player will finish their turn and you add up the VPs. And just to remind you, you're going to look at the majority. So these guys have got a tie for these 2, so they're going to lose this one. If it was a tie for the second one on their card, they'd lose the tan instead. You will then score up the values of those depending on where they are here, add up your money from the profits you have made through the game, and you get $3 for each container on here and $2 for each container in your harbour store. Add up all the money and see who is the winner. Now, there's a beginner variant as well, which suggests that a pre-action before your turn is to sell a container from here at the value of 2, and you get that money from the government, the supply outside, and you put this container back. So very much needed in your first game or so. And there we are, container. Enjoy.